All right, today is Thursday, February 23rd, and today was the first day I traded futures. I have been trading options for quite some time, but today I had my Tradovate account opened and I was trading micro e-mini contracts. So pretty small stuff and just keeping it real small while I'm learning this stuff. And today was okay. I had a couple of trades right in the beginning of the day that were kind of me still figuring out the stop loss situation. So let's see. My day started right here with like two real quick back to back. I went short probably when I shouldn't have. And I was still figuring out my stop loss. I had it way too close. So I think I had it maybe like 2 ticks and ended up getting stopped out immediately. It might have been 4 ticks. I think 4 ticks is equal to $5 here. Again, I didn't plan it very well because I was going short, and obviously right afterwards it went straight up. So didn't really have that figured out. So maybe it was good that I got stopped out so quickly. Same thing on the next trade. It was almost immediately afterwards. Took another short position and got stopped out immediately. I want to say this was 5 ticks for that one. Another $1.25. So still figuring it out. I'm not too stressed about these trades. I was just still figuring it out. Obviously, I chose the wrong direction at the end of the day, but whatever. My next trade was one of two good trades today. I went short on this first contract. I only traded one today, one contract. But we were having some sell off around, what time did this start? 10:39, and I guess it didn't start. I got in a little late, but that's okay. I mean, it was a pretty heavy sell off today. Basically sold off the first half of the day, the entire way down. I noticed weakness right in the beginning, and I was keeping an eye on this consolidation here. Wasn't ready to make a move. And I did get in as quickly as I could, just waiting for confirmation around, I didn't want it to bounce here. But waited for confirmation, and then I entered right at that level when the volume increased. And I held for about 6 minutes and made about $51. So I was really happy about that. One thing that I am extra happy about is the fact that futures so far don't seem as panicky to me. When I'm comparing them to options, I feel, when I put in a trade for options, there's a sense of panic because, I know there's so many different things that can affect the value of your options contracts, your all of your Greeks that can affect your thetas, your gammas, your deltas, a lot of different things that can affect the value of your contract. And I guess maybe I don't know them well enough. Maybe that's something, unfortunate. But futures, I put the trade on. I had my stop loss. I figured out 10 ticks works a little bit better for me. And then as I'm placing it, I do 10 ticks. And then what I would do is just adjust it to the level that I prefer. Usually I'm looking for just under a kind of a level we just retested. I usually move the stop loss right underneath that just in case we do run back down. But just the clear direction in the moves and the pricing for futures has really allowed me to feel comfortable in my trades and focus more on getting the direction right and not necessarily the timing, because I know the time theta and the time factor can ruin your options contracts. And let's say I got in here on a futures contract. This sideways action is not going to kill me, especially if my stop loss is right above that. This sideways action is not going to kill me. And I could hold the entire time with no real threat and still wait for a move like this, and you're gonna be okay. Now with options on the other hand, you are really gonna be kind of hurting because that sideways actions can really start to kill your premiums on your options. So again, I feel a little bit more comfortable. Sorry, my dog is acting up. Feel a little bit more comfortable with futures, really just making sure I'm getting the direction right and I don't have to focus too much on having the perfect entry with options. So it was nice. Today did not have such an amazing amount of panic for everything. It was just, I was able to set my stop loss. I could even walk away from my computer because the volume was really high and I just trusted it to move. When I came back, I moved my stop to break even. As it kept moving, I would slowly, periodically move my stop up, and I ended up getting out at a pretty decent time. So again, just really happy so far about futures. Obviously, there's still risky instruments for sure, considering the leverage that you have, but overall, just really happy. And I think a part of my mentality today, I was really excited to be trading futures, and I think that led me to overtrade today, because at one point, in the beginning of the day, I think I was down $12, and that $50 trade put me up, 30 or $40. Lost a little bit here. Again, I was trying to go short. This one was chasing, things were still moving down, but if I zoom out, this was the bottom of the move. So the bottom of the whole move, beginning of the day is right here. And I'm trying to short really at the very bottom when we ended up bouncing and basically having the rest of the day head north. So again, not a good entry, not a good decision. Should have looked at levels a little bit more and just keep an eye on that. Let's see. And the next trade was not for some time. Let me see what time this was. 212 was my entry. And this was a really, really good entry, but bad exit. And I think the bad exit comes from lack of having a target, and that's okay. Not for long. It's okay for now. But, this is the bottom of the move for the day. This was around 12 o'clock. Everything started moving up. I didn't make a trade for, 2 hours here. It felt really slow, and it felt really sideways for the most part. I want to say at around like maybe 1:30 things started to pick up, right around here. Otherwise, it just felt kind of sideways here, and then around 1:30 it started to pick up. So that's where I started to get a little bit more interested. We were at this level. I mean, there's a huge volume spike. I was looking at the book map. Things were starting to pick up, and I actually got a really, really good entry here. Was really happy with this. Could have been better, but I'm not going to be too picky. Really good entry on high volume. Again, I was in the situation where I'll just take what I get. I got out here at like $48. Considering, in hindsight, if we look at the rest of the day, so got out way early, considering, if I would, here the big issue was my stop loss. I was getting a little too gung-ho on my stop loss, ended up moving it up so quickly that this big red candle right here stopped me out. So at first, my stop was down here. First move, I stopped it to break even, which was right on this big candlestick. And then as we moved up, as we broke through, I want to say this candle, I moved the stop loss to about here. And then as we got up here, I just kept moving it just to kind of preserve my profits. And I did end up, the final stop loss when we were about up here, I moved it right where the wick of these two candles are, right here. And what do you know, the wick of this candle barely stopped me out. And I said, you know what? I was a little too aggressive on moving my stop loss, but in the grand scheme of things, it was a good play. And I probably could have gotten into another a long contract, but again, keeping it simple. It's my first day trading futures, learning how to do it, learning how to fix my brackets, fix my stop losses, have them on the ticks, learn how it moves. I've never traded MES. I've never traded ES. I've only traded options contracts. So again, still figuring things out, figuring out how they move, really excited, felt really good about how everything moved. There was a pretty clear movement all day today. It was First half was just downtrend the whole time. Second half of the day was uptrend the whole way. So pretty easy price action. So I'm not going to get my hopes up, but I'm more focused on the asset class of futures being easier to trade. Yes, they're leveraged products. Yes, they're extremely risky if you don't have your risk management in place and you have your stop losses where nothing more than you're willing to risk. But I think when it comes to just the ease of pricing and understanding the value of the contract that you have in comparison to options contracts is way easier. The pricing, exactly what you're going to get per tick and per point all the way up. With options, you could buy it and a couple of minutes later it could be at the exact same price, but just depending on which way the candle is moving, you could be losing $15, gaining $15 or whatever. The pricing is extremely confusing sometimes, especially if you're not extremely aware of all of the Greeks and everything associated with it. So overall, happy with this trade, happy with the third trade that I had. And then the rest of the day, I felt like I was just giving stuff back. Like I was chasing, giving it back, and definitely gave back some profits. Let's see here. So I was chasing long again here. Again, it was moving up the whole day. If I had a little bit more conviction, I could have held. Again, this sideways consolidation for futures contracts, like, it's okay. I did get stopped out here, so just bad entry. Obviously, it would have been much nicer to have kept entry from before or enter on one of these large candles and then have stop loss below this low here so that I wouldn't get stopped out, and movement forward. Again, figuring out where to put my stop losses, figuring out not chasing. So, mistakes, I can just put chasing here, like chased, excuse me. So I can just classic chasing and over trading in general. So I probably should have stopped after that second decent trade. I was up, I think, $100 after that second one. So, feeling good in general. This one, I don't really know what was happening. I think I went short here. Did I go short here? Yeah, I want to say I went short here. Yeah, just not having it figured out. This is classic over trading, revenge trading on the last couple ones. I'm not too upset considering this is my first day trading futures. Could have been much worse. Also, this does not include commissions. I trade with Tradovate, and I guess when I import the trades from Tradovate, they do not include commissions. So I think after commissions, I was around 30 or just under $30. Either way, it's a green day. I'm learning. I'm trading micro E-minis. I'm learning about futures. I'm excited. I'm motivated. And I'm ready to see what I can do tomorrow. Tomorrow's Friday. I'm not going to try to throw anything. But again, green day. Keep it simple. Learn futures. Keep your stop losses tight. Risk management. And don't take stupid, non-existent setups. Other than that, that's all I got. Peace.